Hello again. So sorry I missed this slide as far as providing the voiceover to it. And it is important, especially when we take capital budgeting and we convert it into valuation of companies. So there's this thing called a terminal value, which basically says at the end of every capital project, or if we're doing a company valuation in the final period of where we're doing the valuation, we need to say, okay, well, what's going to happen after that? And in the case of selling a piece of equipment, we would basically say, oh, there's some salvage value. We're gonna sell the piece of equipment. There's some salvage value. With something like a company that goes on infinitely, or with something like a marketing campaign that you consider a capital project that has revenue increases that go on forever potentially, you need to have some sort of a end value at the end of the 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is that you've decided is the limit for this capital project, that speaks to the value of the cash flows that go on beyond the length of this project. So if you've got a repetitive cash flow, in this case starting at time 7, the nice thing about that is, remember our perpetuity calculations that we did in time value of money, and they are simply cash flow year 7 divided by the cost of capital, or cash flow year 5 if you're doing it for year 5. It says if you're going to have the same cash flows every year for year 7 on to infinity, then to figure out the value of those cash flows in year 7, if you're trying to figure out the value of those cash flows in year 6, it's always the year before. Remember our P0D1, to today's value is the dividend next year. This is the same kind of thing. Our cash flows in year 7 create our value, or our cash flows from year 7 on create our value in year 6 for what we call a perpetuity. And again, we just take that cash flow, that annual cash flow, divide by the cost of capital, and we get a value. Now, that gives us the present value at time 6, year 6. We obviously have to discount that back to time 0 by doing a second calculation for the present value of that one cash flow in year 6 to finish off our calculation. So that's very important to do in company valuations as well as in capital budgeting, where the cash flows go beyond the end of the capital budgeting time period for this project.